Good afternoon, everyone. A very warm welcome to this exclusive masterclass titled Zero Tolerance for Female Genital Mutilation Storytelling, Resistance, and Sustained Commitment. We are truly delighted to have you join us today for what promises to be deeply insightful and meaningful conversation. This masterclass is supported by UNFP, and we are grateful for their continued commitment to advancing gender justice and bodily autonomy. My name is Pooja Nagdev, and I am the Ladli Media Coordinator at Population First. Population First is the social impact organization dedicated to addressing gender inequality and advancing inclusive social development. One of our flagship initiatives is Ladli, a pioneering gender sensitization campaign that works closely with media, advertising professionals, and academic institutions. Through Ladli, we strive to promote gender sensitive storytelling, challenge harmful norms, and foster informed dialogue, particularly within journalism and communication on critical issues such as gender, rights, and mental health. Before we begin, I would like to share a few housekeeping announcements. We encourage you to switch on your cameras if possible. We would love to see you. Kindly keep your microphones muted throughout the session to ensure smooth proceedings. If you have any questions during the masterclass, please feel free to post them in the chat box. These will be addressed during the dedicated Q&A session at the end. During the Q&A, if you would like to ask your question directly, please use the raise hand feature and unmute yourself when invited. It is now my privilege to invite Mr. Yogesh Pawar, the Program Director at Population First, to formally introduce our esteemed speaker for the day. Over to you, Mr. Pawar.
Yes, thank you so much, Pooja. It is a huge privilege to welcome Miss Insia Dariwala. She's an award-winning filmmaker, a child rights advocate, a healing therapist, author, international public speaker, and mentor to global creative fellowships. She wears many hats, all of which converge into a single unwavering mission to make the world a more just and compassionate place. Alongside her mental well-being practice, Yellow Roots, she is the founder of two nonprofits, the Hands of Hope Foundation and SAIO, organizations that have been at the forefront of addressing child sexual abuse and working to end female genital cutting in India. Her work has been recognized internationally and nationally with honors like the Women Have Wings Courage Award in the US, the Shurveer Award, and We the Women Her Award, among others. But beyond accolades, it is her courage to confront silence, her sensitivity to survive her voice, and her belief storytelling as resistance. Welcoming Ms. Dariwala to this masterclass on zero tolerance for female genital mutilation, storytelling, resistance, and sustained commitment. Over to you, Insia.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Yogesh, for this warm welcome. And thank you to everyone who has taken time out on a Monday to be here and witness something that is very close to my heart. It's a film which was recently made, and it's a film on female genital cutting. And you will see, as you see in the film, you will get an idea of what today's session is going to be like. So I do not want to make you wait for too long. Let's start the film. And then I know for a fact that you'll have a lot of questions after the film. So my suggestion is just write it down somewhere because there is a lot. I mean, it's a session that has also a storytelling class in it. So write down your questions and I will take you through it. So yes, Yogesh, please go ahead and Pooja, sorry, go ahead and show the film now.
तेरा सरप्राइज देखना अरे वाह
फिर से वही सपना रहा। 1 महीने से यार। जब से सारा का डिसाइड हुआ है तो, और हम लोग ऑलरेडी बात कर चुके हैं इस बारे में, फिर क्या प्रॉब्लम है? जरूरी नहीं जो तेरे साथ हुआ है वो सारा के साथ भी होगा। रुकैया आंटी ने भी तो बोला है। सॉरी सॉरी। अरवा लिसन, सुनो, अरे सब ठीक होगा, ऊपर वाले पर भरोसा रखो। अरवा, अब ज्यादा सोच मत, तैयारी कर ले। देख अरवा, मैं और ज्यादा स्ट्रेस नहीं ले सकता। तुझे तो सब कुछ मालूम ही है। और जमात कॉलोन भी फाइनल हो जाएगा आज, मुझे जाना है।
अपने में हो रहा है परसों से। हम लोग को भी आगे चलाना ही होगा, ऐसा ही होता आया है यास्मीन।
इसकी जो भी वजह है माँ, ये सही नहीं है। आप समझती क्यों नहीं है? इसे इसे देखो माँ।
बस कर अब, तस्बीह करने दे मुझे। इसे कुछ हुआ तो?
तुझे कुछ हुआ था? माँ मुझे नहीं हुआ, पर भाभी को तो हुआ था ना। और सकीना, और भी लोग हैं माँ। देखो माँ, देखो ना, मैंने आपको लिंक भी भेजा था ना माँ।
अब्बा, इतने दिन से तेरा बहस सुन रही हूँ मैं।
माँ देखो ये वाला
देख ये रिदा प्रेस करने की जरूरत नहीं है, ये पहन लो, अच्छा लगेगा।
ये देखो, आपको मैंने ये आर्टिकल्स भेजे थे ना, आपने देखा? माँ माँ माँ, अरे सुनो ना माँ।
हमारी कम्युनिटी को बदनाम करना चाहती हैं ये औरतें, बस। देखो ये हमारे में होता है, मेरी नानी का हुआ, मेरी माँ का हुआ, मेरा हुआ, और तुम दोनों का भी तो हुआ है। तो फिर सारा का खतना क्यों नहीं होगा? देखो रुकैया बहन का भी फोन आ गया है, चलो आप लोग जल्दी काम खत्म करो। हेलो, हाँ रुकैया बहन, बस मैं तो जा रही थी नहाने। नहीं नहीं रुकैया बहन, ऐसी कोई बात नहीं है, हम आ रहे हैं। अरे रुकैया बहन, अब 40 साल से कर रही हैं ये। हाँ हाँ, 1 घंटे के बाद क्लिनिक के बाहर। अच्छा रुकैया बहन।
और भी लोग हैं माँ, कुछ याद नहीं रहेगा उसे।
सुन्नत
कुछ याद नहीं रहेगा उसे। हमारे में सारा का सारा क्यों नहीं
सुन्नत
और भी लोग हैं माँ, तो क्लिनिक सारा का हमारे में होता है। और भी लोग हैं माँ, कुछ याद नहीं रहेगा उसे। इतना सा टुकड़ा और भी लोग हैं माँ, कुछ याद नहीं रहेगा उसे।
सुन्नत
कुछ याद नहीं रहेगा उसे। हमारे में सारा
सुन्नत
अरवा, चल बेटा अरवा।
अरवा, चल बेटा अरवा, तेरा सरप्राइज देखना ना। अरवा, चल चल चल, चल बेटा अरवा, तेरा सरप्राइज देखना ना। अरवा, चल बेटा अरवा, तेरा सरप्राइज देखना ना। चल चल चल, अरवा, तेरा सरप्राइज देखना ना। चल बेटा अरवा, चल चल चल, सारा को लेकर आ जल्दी, रुकैया बहन इंतजार कर रही है। अरे अम्मा, अरे कितना लेट हो रहा है। रुकैया बहन, हम लोग आ गए।
अरे हिलना मत, कुछ नहीं होगा बेटा। हो गया हो गया। अरे ठीक से पकड़ो उसे, लगेगा नहीं तो। हो गया हो गया, कुछ नहीं होगा बेटा। ठीक से पकड़ो उसे, लगेगा नहीं। लग जाएगा धीरे। अरे पकड़ो इसे, फड़फड़ा रही है। कुछ नहीं होगा बेटा, लग जाएगा तुझे। ठीक से पकड़ो उसे, कुछ नहीं होगा बेटा।
अरवा, क्या हुआ? अरवा, अरवा, यहाँ तो कोई भी नहीं है। अरवा,
Mama, what happened? मम्मा, देखो मैं तैयार हूँ।
हाँ बेटा। अब मैं भी तैयार हूँ।
Um, First of all, I apologize. I am not sure how your viewing was, but for me, the video kept, pausing and starting. So maybe it's a YouTube thing or a Zoom issue. I have no idea, but I'm not sure if you all were able to see the film without any hassles. However, I would invite you all to once again, in the confines of your home, to just go on YouTube and watch this film in silence and without any technical glitches. So, I would like to, a show of hands, has anyone ever heard of female genital cutting in India? Well, can just give me a thumbs up or whatever. Okay. Right. So quite a few of you. So before I get into my PowerPoint presentation, which I'm not very happy about because I'm not a PowerPoint person, but I've just kept this so that I have a roadmap today while going through this presentation. Before I do that, there's a process, a very small process that I would like to do with you all. And this process is basically just in case if while watching the film something triggered you in the film, or there's always something, some burdens that we carry as human beings. We all have our stories. And now, being that I am in the space of healing as well as a therapist, I am much more aware of the kind of trauma that we as human beings go through in our day-to-day life, and how much we carry within us. So, is it okay if I do a 5-minute process with you all? Is it okay with you all? It's just a very short but therapeutic process. So if you all are okay with it, then I can just do it. So you can give me a thumbs up again, you know. And if anyone doesn't want to participate, that is also fine. It's totally up to you. This is a safe space, so there is no force. All right. So okay. So whoever has given me a thumbs up, I would say just close your eyes wherever you're sitting. Try to keep your feet on the ground if possible. If you are sitting at your desk or somewhere where you have some kind of privacy, I would suggest that you just feel your body, you know, scan the energy right now in your body after seeing this film. And just close your eyes and take a deep breath with me. Inhale this unconditional support that the universe gives us. And exhale any kind of heaviness that you might be feeling after watching this film, or maybe even before that. Just scan the spaces within your body, any tightness. It could be in your chest, it could be in your stomach. This film does trigger a lot, and as women, I think we also go through a lot in our bodies. So, to the women who are there on this session right now, I just want you to focus in your sacral area, which is just below your navel, and notice if there is any kind of discomfort or tightness over there. For the men, even though you do not have a womb, you still have a sacral area, which is also below the navel. I invite you to look into those spaces. You can choose to place one hand on your heart and one on your stomach, just below the navel. And now take a deep breath in and notice how your body feels. Just keep breathing. And as you breathe, drop your shoulders. Release everything that you have been carrying or which you may have absorbed through this film. Allow yourself to witness the pain that this film has brought through, but do not let yourselves get attached to it. Keep breathing, and as you breathe, silently in your mind, just say, I honor your pain. I honor the journey that you have taken. But this is not mine to carry. Take another deep breath. Notice if there is any tightness as you say this. And once again in your mind say, I give back what is not mine. I release myself from anything that does not belong to me. And I come back to this present moment. As you say this, take a last deep breath. Feel your body and your energies. And as you open your eyes, just take a step back in your mind and come back to this present moment. Thank you for whoever participated in this. I will now give you a couple of minutes to come back to the space. It would be nice if I could see your faces because then I would know how you're feeling. But I understand if you cannot put your cameras on. I am now going to start the session, which is the other part of our, our masterclass. So the first part is knowing what is FGM. And I'm going to share my not so great PPT. So today's session is about storytelling, resistance, and sustained commitment. For those of you who are familiar with our work, I don't know how many of you are familiar, but what has been the basis, the foundation of everything that we have done in the space of female genital cutting has been storytelling. And so I want to begin this class by asking you, do you know what is FGM? So the full form of FGM is female genital cutting. It is also called female genital mutilation in other parts of the world. We call it female genital cutting in India because as per the religious heads, we are not mutilating our daughters. And when I say we, I mean the community, the women of the community, the men of the community, the families of the Bohra community. So that I'm talking about the Bohra community in India. That is primarily, the community that participates and that has been carrying this tradition for years together in this country and in other parts of the world wherever they reside. So female genital mutilation in other parts of the world it means something else. And you have to understand the context of it when I speak in the context of India, because in India, the Dawoodi Bohra community in which it is practiced is but a speck on the population. The total population of this community around the world is not more than 12 lakhs. In India, it's around 5 lakhs, and we are scattered all over the country, primarily in Gujarat and Maharashtra, quite a few in MP and Rajasthan as well. So female genital mutilation is practiced in different parts of the world, mostly East Africa. It's also done in Middle East, in Asia. And I want to just let you know that even though we do not call it female genital mutilation, it doesn't mean that there is no harm done to the child. Okay, so hold on. The global statistics of female genital cutting, as you can see, it's over 230 million women and girls who are living with the consequences of it. More than 4 million girls are at risk every year. Most procedures happen before age 15. Numbers are likely underreported due to secrecy and fear. Now, let me tell you this, that out of the 230 million women, 80 million of these girls and women belong to the Asian continent. And it's only now that the focus is coming back, or I would say coming there for the first time, because while the UN bodies and whoever was invested in the well being of women and girls spoke and diverted funds and resources to everything that was going on in Africa, very little was being done for Asia. In fact, I'm sure all of you can agree that until 2015, that is when we raised our voices against this practice, there was no talk about female genital cutting in India. So, also, I would like for you to understand that in the Dawoodi Bora community, the practice of Khatna, that's what they call it, circumcision, female circumcision, is done at the age of 7. Now, why 7? So, according to science, 7 is an age where the body is developed enough to remember the pain but also forget the incident. However, what was never taken into consideration is the mind and how the body also has muscle memory. So, while a lot of times we might hear this, and it is very commonly said all over the world that a child, whatever is done in childhood, we get over it. Let me tell you this, you never get over it. I also work with child sexual abuse. That's my other nonprofit that works with child sexual abuse. I am also a survivor of child sexual abuse, and I can tell this with a lot of, certainty that you don't just get over something that happens in your childhood. There's a lot of work that needs to be put in. A lot of healing has to go into this for a child to forget, or not even forget, but to be able to cope with whatever has happened in their childhood while they are entering into their adulthood. So it is important to note that a practice like female genital cutting is not something that is just done to a child, out of the fact that we want to, just do it out of religious needs, but it is to carry a trauma so that she remembers enough to take it forward. And in my opinion, that is the most brutal thing that anybody can want for a child. Now, while a lot of reporting has been done abroad, in other foreign countries, because there are entire countries where female genital cutting is practiced, female genital mutilation is practiced, there are countries that are doing it. Like, it is also legalized. In Malaysia, it is a medically practiced ritual, right? It is legalized, so it is not looked at as bad. Indonesia is a very big country where it is also practiced widely. Now, why is it such a big problem over here in India when we talk about it? So, we need to know what are the types of FGM. Okay, so who defines FGM in 4 ways? Now, type 1 and 2 are most common globally. When we talk about type 1 and 2, what is it exactly? Please, I don't want to trigger anybody, so I'm not going to get into details. Okay, but I will just tell you this, that type 1 and 2 are most common globally. Type 3, which is the most severe, is practiced in African countries. Type 4 includes practices which are dismissed as minor. Now, what is minor? Minor could be anything which involves piercing, pricking, rubbing. And type 1 is clitoral, partial removal of the clitoral hood. So, in India, what is widely practiced is type 1 and type 4, where there is partial removal of the clitoral hood, but there is also a lot of rubbing, pricking, solutions are used. We don't know what kind of solutions are those. It could be acid, we are not sure. There are things that are done to the genitalia which have, I mean, I just want to say that those are not reversible. The damages are not reversible. So the question then arises, why does FGM still continue? And can some of you tell me, can some of you just unmute yourself and can you name a few reasons why you think, I mean, you have seen the movie, So can you please tell me, why do you think it's practiced? Anybody. And like we always say, there are no right or wrong answers. So if someone can just take a dig at giving me this answer.
Patriarchy and the hegemony of religious beliefs.
Okay, who said this? I'm sorry, your cameras are not on. So
This is Sandhya Renukamba.
I'm sorry.
Sandhya Renukamba.
Okay. Yes, Sandhya. So patriarchy is obviously one of the most, widely spotted reasons. But what exactly is patriarchy then? Because in this practice, it's the women who are taking the children to be cut, the daughters, right? So when we talk about patriarchy, we sometimes feel that it's only about men. And while yes, sorry, did somebody say something? So
Uh,
yeah, please go ahead.
yeah, so um, yes, patriarchy seems like it's about men, but it is more about the entire society, colluding to uphold the superiority of men,
Right,
and women take part in it too. So it's not that only men do questionable things.
that's right.
Women do it to probably um keep their hold on power, which comes through the powerful men in the family.
Right. So yeah, you've got a point there, and it is done. So in India, when we did talk about told that it was for hygiene, a lot of us know that that is not true because we are living in the 21st century and we have soap, we have water, we don't need to cut someone's genitalia, to be hygienic, right? So when we dig deeper, we find out that it is actually to suppress the woman's sexual desire. Why? So that she can be a good wife and she cannot, she doesn't go astray before marriage or after marriage. So just think about it. It's like, to be a good wife and to be a good girl, you have to, follow this practice. So while patriarchy is at the, it's like an umbrella, okay? Beneath that, at least in the context of, I'm talking in the context strictly of the Bora community of India, we also have reasons like generational, traditional practices which have been going on for ages, and you cannot question them. You cannot question them because it is just a very simple thing that is told to you that it needs to be done. Like you saw in the film, there was no villain in there. There were no villains, right? Everyone was I think, a victim of their conditioning. So generational practices that are carried on through lineages, they continue, and they are mostly continued through the women of the family. It's given as it's like an heirloom that is passed on so that you can continue, and you can do what was done to you, to your daughter. But today, in today's time, there are women who are questioning this and they want to stop this. So the reasons are patriarchy, the reasons are, the desire to fit in, to belong. It's now also a form of religious identity, that I am a Bora Muslim and this is my religious identity. And as we see Islamophobia getting more and more rampant, the need to establish your identity in a religious way is all the more, picking up now, and it's coming with a lot of force. So those are the reasons, and it's also about ostracizing. Okay, so there have been cases where in the Bora community, if someone has refused to do, and openly refused, okay, to do this practice, they have been ostracized, they have been condemned. And because it's such a small community, it is very difficult to cut away from the community. You just can't, because everybody's into everybody's business. So, the need of fitting in and belonging is so big when you are such a insular community, right? It's a very, very small community. So, what do? You use the vulnerable audience or the vulnerable demographic of your family to become something, more of a symbol to carry all those traditions and everything, and to protect yourself actually from being ostracized. So, children are like a collateral damage to this system of patriarchy. Okay, now we, as you know, the session is about storytelling. So, how has storytelling become a movement? Okay. Now, when we talk about storytelling and why it matters, we need to understand that everybody is a story. Like all of us here, we are how many of us? We are almost 17, I think 17, 18 of us. Every one of us has a story within ourselves. We are all, I call us all containers of stories, right? We are walking containers of stories. But we are not just statistics. Okay. And that's how we need to be treated. So, when we talk about storytelling, it is important to understand this, that behind every story, there is a human. There is someone who has gone through a lot of damage, who has gone through pain, who has probably seen things that you and I may have not witnessed ever. So, how do we provide a platform to these people to then build a safe environment where these stories can come out? And what happens when these stories start coming out? I will take you to the next slide to tell you what happens. So, this is what happens. Movements are born when someone is brave enough to say, "This happened to me and I'm no longer carrying it alone." And this is exactly what we did at SAIO. SAIO is an organization that was created by 5 women who decided, who didn't know each other. We were all strangers. I'm here in the second. We are 5 of us, all from different walks of lives. We were all strangers. We had never met each other. We had never seen each other, never spoken to each other. My journey in this space started in 2012 when I started writing a film on female genital mutilation, because I had seen and heard so many stories within my family, and there were so many girls that were cut and nobody ever spoke about it, and I never understood why, until one day I was told that the reason for me not being counted in some religious functions was because I was not cut. So the story of me not being cut is also, I'm probably the only girl in my family that is not cut. And I was saved because my mother was brave enough to say no. She decided to not let this happen to me, and so it didn't. However, even though I was not cut, I was cut off. And I was cut off from things that I didn't even knew. I mean, as a 7-year-old, you're never going to know why you are not being invited or not being allowed to sit in certain religious functions. It's only later on that I understood this, and the reason was that in their parlance, I was not a clean and a good girl. So I decided to do something about it, and I decided to write a film, and my film was called The Good Girl. So when I started researching, I met Arifa Johuri. She's the fourth woman on the slide in the first row. Arifa is a journalist, and I just reached out to her and I read her story, and I told her, we need to meet. I need to hear more from you, because I had a character in my story who was a journalist. And that's how Arifa and I met. And when we met, there was a comfort. It was shared pain, even though I was not cut, she was cut. But the pain came from the act of not being seen, of, being made a collateral damage of a practice that too at the age of 7, when you don't understand why certain things happen. So there is damage in being cut, and there is damage in not being cut too, because for the longest time, I suffered from low self-esteem, because I always wondered why didn't my grandmother and my aunts and all love me enough to include me in functions that my sister was being included, and my sister was cut. So things like that, you know, we really bonded over this, and we decided that we are going to do something about it, that we are not going to allow any other girl to go through this. And so we started, finding like-minded girls, like-minded women actually, and all the five that you see here, we all connected, and we finally, in 2015, officially founded Saiyo. Saiyo is the organization. Please do visit Saiyo. We are doing some phenomenal work all over the world. It's a transnational organization. And today we are doing as much as we can to stop female genital cutting in the community. And you should know this when we are talking of stories. The way we were able to do this is through stories. When we came together, five of us, we shared our stories. And then we decided, how about engaging the community? Right? Because just doing it on our own is not going to be possible. So let's engage the community. Let's find out how we can have more women come forward and share their story. So we launched programs, and I came up with this idea called Thal Pe Charcha. So you have seen the film, and you would have noticed that there is like this huge thal on around which the brother and the sister are sitting, and they're eating. So 8 people sit around this thal, and we eat like that. That's the cultural thing in Bora Muslims. And I decided to make that as the base of storytelling. So it became Thal Pe Charcha, which was, conversations around food. And in 2017, with a lot of backlash and a lot of, you know, I would say fear, because we also got threats. We got threats to our life. We got threats to, I mean, we were dismantling patriarchy in the real sense. We were going against religious heads and religious diktats. So obvious there was a pushback from the community heads, but we still, persevered. And in 2017, I figured that food does not harm. Why not start a storytelling around food? And we gathered, and we didn't know how many would show up. But February, in fact, February 18th is going to, make us 9 years for this program. And 12 women showed up for this first program. And so when they showed up, they we didn't tell them that, come on, you have to come in and speak about, your trauma. No, we did not say that. What we said is, come on in, let's talk, let's chat, let's have some I don't know who that was, but okay. So when we sat around that hall, we realized that we had so many things in common, because with those women had never ever got a space where they could gather together and feel free enough to talk about their bodies. So we had created a safe space, given a platform where the women could come together without any judgment, without any concern or fear of opening their mouths or being ostracized. And that's how Sayo was born. That's how Thalpe Charcha came in. We just celebrated our 10 years of Sayo. The program still continues. We started with 12 women, but we went to almost, we have done 18 Thalpe Charchas, and not just in Mumbai, but also in other parts of Maharashtra and Gujarat, and even in the US for that matter. We have reached more than 255 participants who have come, broken bread with us, and today are also become like evangelists for the cause. These are women who decided that yes, our stories should not be unheard. We need to be seen, and that's what I'm going to talk about next. That, you know, there is a reason why storytelling can heal, because pain cannot happen in isolation. Pain needs a witness. And storytelling is that. Storytelling can help you bring forward something. Maybe not to many people. Maybe you can start with a few, just share with one person a story, but you need a witness. However, there is also a downside to it. What is the intention behind sharing the stories? So, the stories that came to us, there were many, many stories, but we did not want to dramatize. We didn't want to, create like a sensational piece, which happened. Unfortunately, media, they had a ball because never ever in the country, um, nobody had ever spoken about female genital cutting in this part of the world. So it became a big sensational thing. And so
It's 4 o'clock.
sorry, that was my laptop. To control that, we also, because I'm from the media, there are two other people who are our co-founders and they are from the media as well. And we decided that, it's high time that we teach the journalist in India of how to carry a sensitive story which has to do with real humans, real trauma, so that ethics are in place. And that is very important. That are you telling a story so that it can heal someone, or are you telling it to exploit someone? Okay. Ethical storytelling. Again, the same thing that we were talking about. Who is telling the story? What is the reason why the story is being told today? So, in our case, when we talk about, you know, the women who came out with their stories, they were only able to tell it because we provided them the secrecy. We were very clear that none of what happens behind four doors is going to go out. The ones that were brave enough, courageous enough, who said, okay, we don't mind our names, coming out in the open, we don't care, we are not scared, we honored them. But we also honored the ones that said, no, we are not ready. We are not ready to come out yet, or we are not ready to face the music that is going to come within the community, the ostracization, or maybe the sheer judgment of, oh, why are you telling it now? You were just a child, or get over it, and it's not such a big deal, which is all actually very legit reasons for anyone to get scared, right? So we allowed those women to stay in anonymity, and that's why we were able to build this community of stories, uh, build a storytelling community, actually. That's what we call. And our programs also revolved around storytelling because it was so powerful. I mean, imagine I'm sitting here in front of you telling my story. You are 18 of you. You might go tonight, after this session, you might tell someone else that, hey, listen, we heard this woman talk about this practice. That's how stories go forward, right? Now, however, if you look at whatever you are hearing here um, as just a means of, you know, um, like what we heard, or rather read over here earlier, that just as a means of listening to something, which you have never heard before, without any compassion, without any empathy, and then carry it, you know, it's more, it's not driven with an ethical feeling, right? It is just about, it's like gossiping, right? Do you know that this is happening in the Bora community? However, we today, we need the empathy, we need compassion, because while I talk about the movement that has grown through storytelling, and yes, it has grown a lot. We have done storytelling in many different ways around food. We have done events where I have also enrolled the actors from Bollywood, where if people over here, if you have watched Vagina Monologues, where there is a kind of a reading happening, and stories of women and what they have been through. I did something similar in 2018, and very big names came for the event, and they were there present with the survivors. And that is how much trust was we created through the platform of Sayo, where they felt safe enough to come out in the open in spite of all the backlash. And trust me, there was a lot. we, I don't want to bore you with the details, but there have been numerous, and if you go and you Google us, you'll see there have been numerous videos, there have been numerous, name calling done for us, right from us wanting to malign the community to getting attention or seeking attention, and oh God, what not, I'm not even going to get into that. What I'm trying to say here is that storytelling is precious and it needs to be treated that way, because whoever is telling you their story is telling it to you with a lot of trust, with a lot of faith. So you need to question when someone comes to you. Someone comes, and when I say someone, I mean a survivor comes and tells you their story. They are telling you in a lot of confidence. So please be very careful around how you're going to treat that story. If
Insia, can you speak up? Because I'm getting several messages from people that your voice is going on lowering.
Okay, I don't
Just
know how.
speak up a little because I've got several messages from journalists across, like, who have said
I
that.
am very loud, so I don't know why.
No, I
I
don't know. I'm just saying, I'm requesting you if you just kind of maybe hold it close or speak up.
no, I'm
Yeah.
very close.
Thank you. Thank you.
You hear me, Yogesh? Can you all hear me now? Yogesh, you're on mute. I can't hear you.
I'm saying I can hear you now. If you maintain this level of volume when you speak, then it'll be fine.
Okay,
Thank you. Thank you, Insia.
you're welcome. Yeah, so when I'm talking about, again, storytelling and why you have to share a story, before you share a story of a survivor, it is important to understand why you are sharing the story. What is the reason behind it? Are you doing it to benefit yourself, or are you benefiting the survivor in any way? Or is there a larger reason behind sharing that story? Because every story that is going out, it is also putting the person whose story it is into the limelight, and maybe they are not comfortable. So when we talk about ethical storytelling, it is important to take permission first. So I believe that the first step that you need to do is, if someone comes with with their story, the first thing you need to ask is, do we have your consent to share this story? Like, for instance, we are all here now. If someone doesn't want to, if, let's say, this was a sharing space and someone is sharing something, and if they didn't want to put their camera on, and if they wanted to be in anonymity, we are definitely not going to force, right? It's not ethical to do something where the person that has trusted you is going to break their trust. So when we are talking about working with communities, which I'm assuming a lot of you all are working in community, this is something that needs to be at the, you know front foremost of everything. That whose story is this, who is benefiting out of this story, and why do you need to say it, and why do you need to say it? Like, when we did this, when we came out with our stories, we were very clear that we want the attention to be on the practice of female genital cutting, not on just the survivors. Yes, the survivors were there, but what was happening to them and why it was happening was more important. So we brought the attention to that first. And with that, I'm coming to the part 3 of this session, which is advocacy and resistance. Now, like I said, if you are just consuming information and you are just becoming aware without really, going into any kind of action or any kind of a drive to do something about it, then it is just, as this slide says, it's emotional consumption. But advocacy, when it is coupled with a responsibility, it becomes something else. It then becomes a movement that is sustainable, that is going to be driven not just by you but by the community. For instance, we have 5 of us, right? We are only 5 of us when we started this collective. But we would have never made it so far had we not had the engagement of the community. So, if the focus of any organization is on seeking attention through the stories, then the cause is lost. Then we are not getting the impact that we deserve, which is not what happened to Sayo. Sayo was able to engage the community despite the backlash, despite everybody who said that no, we don't want to do this because we are going to get ostracized or we will be thrown out or, our names will be cut from the Jamaat and all of that. But there were quite a few who said, okay, we are not ready to come forward and put our faces out there, but let's do this, we will support you in secrecy. And it is fine, because what is the end goal here? The end goal is that whatever we are doing needs to cause and create an impact. It needs to go further and further towards ending the practice of female genital cutting. And I just want to add here that while we are talking about female genital cutting within the Dawoodi Bohra community of India, I also want to put out some information here, which is it's still in the early stages, but there has been a small research done where we have come to know that this practice is also being happening in one of the Sunni communities of Kerala. Okay, and it's a Barber community that does it, and they do it to girls who are as young as 1.5 months. So there is a need now that, the international bodies, local bodies, whoever is fighting to protect the girl child should rally together and come together to find out how each of us can support the other in helping this practice stop, because we cannot do it alone, right? And I mean, if we could do it alone, I would not be here, honestly. This is a movement that requires as many players as possible. And so I come to the next part of this, next slide, which is a community-led movement. Okay, like I said, we started with the women within the community, not by force, not by telling them that, oh, you are wrong to do this and you are the most horrible mother and you're the most horrible aunt. Because trust me, the women who take the child to cut, and as you have seen in the film, are mothers, they are the aunts, they are the grandmothers, they are the sisters. So when you have your own doing this, the height of betrayal is very, very, very high. And hence, we cannot say that she's the villain, the mother is the villain, or the grandmother is villain, because all of them are just victims of whatever they have gone through. So it's like a generational, loop, a never-ending loop. It continues from generation to generation until the day when somebody says, that's it. This cannot go on. I am not going to allow my daughter to get cut. As we saw in the film, the mother takes a stance and she says that no, the trauma that I went through, I still remember. I remember whatever happened to me as an adult as well. And I don't want my daughter to go through that. So that is movement within the community. So as advocates and as, child rights advocates and activists, we are always trying to put ourselves out there and to make things right. But we are not saviors. Nothing can happen unless the person who it's happening to also makes the effort, right? So it's very important to understand that when you are working with communities, do not become their saviors. Just be there for a support. Encourage them to work within their communities. Train them. That's what we have done. We have activist retreats where we train the women who want to stop this practice to become advocates within their own families. So, like for instance, there have been women who have come and told us that, hey, we were able to talk someone out of cutting her child. And because this community is so small, even one girl being saved, it's like a whole generation being saved, right? So it's very important to understand that, we need a multi-pronged approach. Storytelling coupled with advocacy, you know, policy. There is a law that we have been trying to get in India to ban FGM. It is taking a lot of time. We have been doing this for the last, I would say, 7 years. We have been trying, but it's taking its own sweet time. However, it's not like we have said, okay, fine, the law is not coming in place, so let us just forget it. Because we have understood that if there is just law and no community engagement, it's not going to work. Or if there is just community engagement and no law, then it's still not going to work. So we are trying to work from within while the external policies are also being talked about. We are trying to educate people. So my film, what's been happening with my film is that we are taking it in colleges. We are educating young students about what the practice is all about, and if they can in some way join. Also the young Bora youth, we are trying to encourage them to be harbingers of ending this practice and deciding that whatever happened to them as children, they should not be doing to their children. So there's a lot of dialogue, there's a lot of engagement within the community that is helping us today to make this movement sustainable while keeping story as the centrifugal force for everything that is happening around it. So there is very successful program that is being run. It's called Voices to End FGMC, which is being run by Sayo. Then we have the Thalpe Charcha. Then we have storytelling. We have blogs. We have podcasts. In fact, one of our blogs and storytelling won the Ladli Award as well. So yeah, I mean, this is what I have to say when it comes to storytelling. So I'm done talking now, and I'm leaving this room open to any kind of questions. I will stop sharing now. So Pooja, can you please stop sharing my screen?
Yeah, you have already shared. You have stopped sharing.
Yes. So anybody have any questions to ask?
I think now you should announce people can ask questions, and I have the first question. Can I ask
Yeah, sure.
Pooja? Should I go ahead?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Please go ahead. There are no questions in the chat box yet. Please go ahead.
Um, very very importantly, I feel that whenever this subject is brought up, it's like walking on a razor's edge.
Right.
Because, and I'm sorry about bringing up this kind of turn of phrase, but it's walking the razor's edge, because if you pick, it's damned if you do and damned if you don't. So because when you speak about it, very often there is always this fear that it will be weaponized and used for a communal agenda.
Right.
And if you don't speak about it, then you are also joining the people who are choosing silence. So I mean, how do you manage a balance in between this, and what would you advise people who want to report or write or do any intervention related to this? What would your advice to them be?
Right. So, Yogesh, like I said, and you very rightly put it that it's a double-edged sword, because it damned if you do it and damned if you don't, especially in today's environment, right? So we have had multiple toolkits actually, and this is what we give. We give workshops to people who are journalists on how to report, because it's not about and you know this best. You are a journalist yourself. You have been a very long, and very, I would say, experienced journalist. It's not about the crime. It's about how it's reported, right? So the narrative of reporting has to change. And when you are talking about something that is so sensitive, and sensitive also because it's associated with religion, right? It's rooted in religion. It's important to understand and not just, I would say, extract information from anywhere, put from the horse's mouth, go straight to the horse, and find out how that person whose story it is wants to be represented. I think that is very important. Like, so we also had a session, at the press club, where we showed images of what images should be used when you are talking about female genital cutting in India, because the most common one that was used was blade and blood dripping and things like that. Now that gave us a lot of backlash, because the obvious reason is that, hey, we don't do female genital mutilation in India, we just do khatna. So khatna is like a watered down way of doing something that is still not supposed to be done to a girl. So I think you just need to understand the nuances about the practice before you talk about it or go in public and talk about it. There is a need to read up a little bit more, and I would invite all here to just visit Sayo's website. We have a lot of resources, we have our research there, so you'll get a better idea of what exactly has been going on for the last 10 years and what we have been doing and also what we have been going through. So
Also, no, I wanted to particularly, well, maybe you'll dwell. I'm going to ask you a supplementary about how, what does it mean when, very often when even when we suggested this as an idea, I'm not taking the journalist's name, but a journalist, she actually called me and said that, why are you choosing this subject in this atmosphere? Because she said that it looks like you want to also follow in the lines of something that Bollywood is doing now with pushing a certain kind of a narrative. And I said, no, that's not the case. We're talking about it. Which thing? If you look at the whole XYZ of gender based violence, then we are looking at, why are we talking about this subject, which actually affects a minuscule minority, and it is not even the entire Muslim community. It is only a minuscule minority within that. So she said, why are you making that into a subject which a whole masterclass is being done? So how do you deal with this kind of a line of questioning, and how do you help locate it in the whole matrix of gender based violence?
So see, like I said, I mean, I'm a child rights advocate. For me, this is child abuse. Okay, it comes under that. The entire process of cutting a child's genitalia at the age of 7, it falls under the ambit of child abuse to me. And I operate from that space. So if someone were to ask me, why are you doing this would be my answer, that I am fighting for child rights. I run a foundation that works on child sexual abuse, and for me, this is one and the same. Yes, there is no sexual intent involved because parents are involved, and when I say parents, I mean mothers are taking their daughters to get cut. However, there are legal, laws that say very clearly that any damage, any harm done to a child, whether unintentional sexually or not, it is not nobody's supposed to touch a child's genitalia, you know so I come from that space, Yogesh, and it does not save me. There have been times when I have been told the same thing. In fact, now more so, that there's already so much Islamophobia. Why do you want to fan the fires, and why do you want to bring this up again? And this kind of a pushback comes from within the community and from outsiders also. So like I said, you're damned if you do and you're damned if you don't, because on my film itself there have been comments which I didn't want to read, like Muslims are always like this or this and that. And what are you going to do? So I just tend to focus on what I want for this practice, which is ending the practice. If a journalist, I can understand you know um, a journalist's job is very hard, right? Because they have to be very careful how they are reporting. And so I can understand the apprehension, but I don't have any such problems. I mean, I can speak about it because I run an organization that fights for the rights of children. So I talk about it and I just place it in that category, that why should I neglect something that is happening only because it's happening to a very small population? It is still happening, you know. It's not easy. Let me tell you that.
Anyone else has any questions? Yeah, Pooja, if you can just
Yes, yes.
ask.
There are a few questions in the chat box. I'll go one by
Yeah.
one. First question is by Mr. Mahesh Deka. He says, what does zero tolerance mean to you in practical, real world terms?
So for me, Mahesh Deka, right?
Right, right.
Yeah, Mahesh, hi. Um, for me, zero tolerance means zero tolerance. I mean, it's a very self-explanatory term where I would not, if I was aware of someone being cut in my family, I have been very vocal about it, and there is no, two ways about it. The only downside to it is that because there is no law in place, I cannot cite the law and go and report it because reporting is just not done. So, in the real world, unfortunately, we do not have laws and hence it makes it more difficult. But when you ask me as a person and individually, zero tolerance for me means that no girl gets cut on my watch. It's as simple as that.
Okay, the next question is by Gurpreet Kaur. Her question is, what kind of awareness messaging actually works with families who believe FGM is necessary?
So, Gurpreet, the thing is that it is not one messaging alone that helps because it is so rooted, the practice is so rooted in religion, right? And like I said, in identity mostly, that if we are doing this because this is our religious identity, it's our right, it's our birthright, and we have to do it. There's also another school of thought that has, which is very frivolously talked about within the community that we do it for our boys, we cut boys, so why not men? And that's a lot of crap, I would say, because there is no scientific evidence, which is documented evidence, which says that cutting the genitalia of a boy is harmful. However, there is a documented evidence that any kind of tampering with female genitalia is going to cause her not only um, long-term damage, but in that moment. And there are many anecdotes. I do not want to talk about it here because it is very triggering. These are disturbing facts, and I don't want to go into the gory details. But I have seen cases where the child has gone through abort circumcision, and she's only 7. So what we do is we take these examples, we take these case studies, we take these stories, and we have spoken to women who are very adamant to cut their daughters. What has worked for us is educating them, because a lot of times people who are doing this do not even know what's being cut. Okay, there is no education, there is no, it's not a medical practice, it's not like you are being trained to cut the clitoral hood. So whoever is doing this practice, some of them are just going and going to um, they are not even midwives, they are not they're called the cutters. Okay, local cutters, they have been known in the community, they have a blade, they cut. Okay, it's as simple as that. Lately there's also medicalization being done in hospitals, that we have come to know. But even so, you cannot medicalize a non-medical practice. So the only way to get to mothers and the women, to make them understand, is to tell them that okay, you want to do this, you still have time, the child has not turned 7, here is the information, here are hard facts, here is the research that we have which says that this can be harmful to your child. So now you tell us, do you still want to do something like that to your daughter knowing that it is going to harm her? Many times the women will say, oh, well, even a piercing is going to hurt, but we still do it. And, we don't argue with that. We just let them believe what they want to believe, because what we have understood is that you cannot push the community people and antagonize them. We will never be, able to work with community if we force things on them. So we just give them information. We have brochures, we have booklets that we have seminars that we do, and we invite the Thalpe Charcha around the food. We call women. So this is how we do, and this film has been very instrumental in reaching to many people, and because it talks about generational trauma. So when I did a screening amongst the women of the community, there were several women who literally felt pain in their groin, and that is a marker of how trauma stays in the body years later also. So those women cried, and one of them was 65 years old. So you can imagine how much pain, she must have been carrying for all those years. So
I wanted to, sorry, I'm interrupting, but I wanted to ask you, when you work with the community for so long, who is the resistance more from? Is it more from the men in the community or from the women in the community?
so you'll be surprised that it's like someone said in the beginning, right, that women are the upholders of patriarchy. I think this need to please the men is so much, right, that we are the Agyakari women, and we do everything by the book. So they want the men, most of the men didn't even know. When we started our Thalpe Charcha, it was just for women. But then we realized that the men do not know that this practice. A lot of men didn't know. I mean, I have interviewed men who have said that, we are shocked that something like that has happened to our wives. And the irony of it all is that the reason why the woman is cut or the girl is cut is for her to be an ideal wife and do her wifely duties. Unfortunately, what happens is that sometimes the circumcision is so botched and you don't know what has happened or what has been cut, that it affects the intimacy between a husband and wife. So they are like, like you said, damned if you do and damned if you don't, because either way, there is someone who's paying the price for it. So when the men came to know, there were many men who decided they're not going to cut their daughters. And we have invited these men on our forums. They are very openly. In fact, you must know Saleha Patwala, Yogesh.
Yes,
She
yes, of course.
Yeah, her father was one of the biggest supporters for anti-FGM, and he has spoken on public forums. He has come in our film. So a lot of men want this practice to stop too, because they probably can understand how it is damaging them personally. But it's a very, very uphill battle, because like I said, now it is being looked at as a religious identification. And so anything that
Mm.
is a religious, it's like the hijab, or the ridas that Bohras wear. Bohra Muslims never used to go to college with ridas. Today, everywhere they go, they have the rida on. So it is done because you want to be seen as a Bohra Muslim, and that's the identity. So yeah.
Okay, next is by Akshita Prasad. Akshita's writing, Hi Insia, you said FGM is yet to be banned in India. Currently, what is the legal status? Are there any existing laws that effectively outlaw FGM? I understand that within close knit communities, there's secrecy surrounding such practices. Legality or illegality maybe doesn't matter that much with regards to ending the practice, but I'm curious.
So, Akshita, the answer is no. There is no such law that is banning the practice right now. Whatever paperwork or whatever steps we had taken, there was a PIL filed. In fact, there were two PILs filed, and the second PIL was filed by an advocate who was not a Bora. She's a Hindu. She filed a PIL in Delhi, and that went through its own course. And there has been a lot of back and forth with the government also. Lately, right now, nothing much is happening, but in 2018, we had filed the PIL, and there were multiple signatures on it. A lot of survivors came and signed, and it was sent. At that time, the union minister was Menka Gandhi, and she was also, with the WCD. And there was a press release that said, let's ban FGM in India. And then 2 weeks later, there was a whole volte-face on it with a press release, with another press release saying FGM doesn't exist in India. So we don't know what happened, what went wrong over there. We never heard from them again, and we have been, trying to see if this can come under the ambit of the POCSO laws, which is the Prevention of Child Sexual Offences. Like I said, for me, this is a child rights issue, and no one should be allowed to touch the female genitalia. However, there is also the downside, which is always the case is, the laws that protect religious freedom. That is always cited. That this is our religious right and it's khatna. So we are doing it for our girls.
Like for them.
Yeah. So,
There's one more question. This is from Sandhya Renukamba. She's writing, is there any way POSCO can do something in this area? And if yes, has there been any implementation done?
no, so I just answered that, right? So, POCSO does not have any way to put FGM. There would have to be a whole different law. And the reason being, because see, when you talk about POCSO laws, what is a POCSO law? Today, POCSO laws are so strong that if there is a case of abuse anywhere, no question asked, if there is a reporting, the perpetrator is just picked up, put behind bars, right? And then the onus is on him or whoever else it is, if it's a her, to prove that they are not wrong or they are not guilty. And the child is taken into protective care, and there's a whole protocol that is followed. However, in the case of FGM, if this comes under POCSO laws, who are you going to arrest? The mother is involved. Chances are that the grandmother is involved. Now, let's say if there is a 70-year-old woman involved in taking her child or grandchild to be cut, do you think that it's going to be allowed to put her behind bars, right? Because there was no sexual intent. So there is a lot that needs to be, kind of dissected within the POCSO laws. We have tried, we want to, and I definitely, would love if POCSO law could have a separate section just for FGM cases. But for now, there's nothing like that, and it does seem like it's going to be a while before laws come into place. Also, because I believe that, again, community engagement is very essential. If I were to give you a, parallel, gutka was banned, right? And yet we are seeing pan stains and gutka stains all over the country. So just having a law does not ensure that the child is protected.
Insia, please speak up a little more. I mean, I'm also having some trouble
I don't know
keeping up.
why I'm the one.
It starts off, and then I think as you speak, you slowly it meanders. So just kind of keep
Okay.
like speaking up.
Okay. All right. So I don't know. I mean, I don't know if you heard the last part that I said,
Yeah,
but
no, I heard it, but I'm saying it is becoming like I'm having to take the phone close to my ears.
okay. So maybe it could be your phone. Is everybody
No,
complaining?
everybody is complaining. No, my other colleagues have also come and told.
Acha, okay. I don't know. I mean, I am the same. My volume has not decreased, but I'll be a little louder if I can.
Hmm.
So yeah, I mean, this is the downside of the POCSO law right now, or I would say not the downside of the POCSO law, but the fact that we cannot put the FGM in the POCSO section, unless there is a whole different way of looking at FGC, because it's not just about reporting a case, it's also about the arrests that are made, it's about rehabilitation. If let's say a child who's 7 years old, she does not look at her mother or her grandmother or her aunt as a villain. For her, she's in a happy family. And then one day this happens, she still doesn't look at her, family as a villain, because it is being doctored into her, and she's being conditioned that this is something that has to be carried forward. So, who is going to be arrested? Who is going to be prosecuted? And if there is a arrest, where is the child going to go then? Are there any protective services to care for a child? And what kind of guilt that child is going to go when she has to put her own mother behind bars? So there are a lot of questions that need to be explored and answered, before a law for FGM is passed. It's not going to be as easy. Any more questions?
Yes. So a follow-up question by Sandhya Renukamba. Just like gender detection on USG is banned and practitioners can be penalized, can this not be won by penalizing those who do the actual cutting as a strong deterrent?
Yes, but the point is that you don't know who's doing the cut, because these are not people who, are doing it in the open. It's done in a lot of secrecy. And in the hospitals where it is done, even that clinics, wherever it is done, it's done in a lot of secrecy. There is no proof that it's being done. The way we come to know is because we come to know from within the community. There are people who are, coming and telling us that, hey, listen, it's happening over here. But there is no case that can be filed, right? So even though you know this, you cannot really do much about it. Also, I did get the medical community involved, like FIGO and FOXY, the obstetricians and gynecologists bodies. We got them involved. I got a lot of support from Dr. Nosher Shariar, who he he has always been a big supporter of ending FGM, and we have been together, working for quite some time now. In fact, on their website, they had declared, and passed a resolution that if any doctor is found practicing FGM in India, they would be banned. So, a lot of small steps were taken, but since it is such a small population, since it is so insular, we are like a minority within a minority. So it is very difficult to, just say that, okay, this person is the cutter, so now arrest her. But arrest her for what? And arrest her under what section? Because let's say if someone is being arrested for cutting a child, but the mother has given permission to cut the child, so what are you going to do about that, right? So it's tricky. Am I audible?
Yes, yes.
Any more questions?
No more questions.
So, may I just again a follow-up question, this is Sanjay Renukamba. There are a lot of gray areas, or rather, I would not say gray areas, but areas in which there is a sort of consent in quotes given by family members. Like, there is the dowry problem. There is of course, the femicide problem, which I spoke about on my question. So you said that there is a sort of consent given by the parent of the
Right.
child, and hence whom to, how to go about it. And of course, those are not like very good examples in a way, that because these things still happen despite the laws against that. But my I was wondering if, I mean, I'm sorry to persist, but I'm wondering if in the same way there could be, some follow up to the laws that can, be directed towards the practitioners. Because I do feel that yes, the community is involved and the parents give consent, but they give it under social and psychological pressure. It is the practitioners who are, I feel, that we need to target. So, similar laws, can they not be followed up, and maybe something done about it? Because this is absolutely horrible. As somebody who's out looking in from outside, I I really feel it's an impossible situation in many ways. So, uh,
Sandhya, what do you do?
Correct.
I currently I don't do anything, but I was the editor at Women's Wear for 10 years. I don't know if you've heard of Women's Wear.
Women's wear?
Yeah, I have.
Women's Wear.
I wanted to just come in quickly and say that, Sandhya, you have a very valid point from the perspective that you're putting it. It is very valid. But let's take a parallel. Okay. Let's look at, and this, I know it's not the best possible parallel, but let's look at malaria. Okay. So at a curative level, we can give people quinine and cure them of malaria, right? And then you tell them that when you go home, please ensure that you use mosquito repellents and mosquito nets. Okay. when you're sleeping, if because your area has a lot of mosquitoes. So that is like a preventive. But both these steps will not work till you work at a promotive level, and which is actually the final this thing, where you tell people that you don't allow dirty water to accumulate near you. So what is the parallel that I'm making? The idea that, patriarchy has said that women need to be robbed of their agency over their sexual pleasure. So finally, one has to, that is the larger thing that one will have to work with. And that is only possible through community intervention. The idea of working with law, I'm not discounting it at all. But that is, I feel, more or less a kind of a curative thing. There are lots of laws, brilliant laws. I think in this country, we have one of the best possible laws and the worst possible implementation. So I'm saying that we will have to look at this aspect of, if the mindset changes, then perhaps, that there was a time when child marriage or sati was like the most common practice. We have had leaders like Bal Gangadhar Tilak who have risen up and spoken, written very, very angrily when just the age of marriage was being raised to 12. So that was not acceptable then. But it has taken us this much of a journey to reach where we have, no? So I think this is just a point. I'm sorry, Insia, I came in, but
No,
this
thank
is
you so
just a
much.
way of
I would
trying
have
to.
probably said I would have given a different analogy, but yeah, I would have said the same things, because Sandhya, what is to be noted is there are many reasons why that cannot happen. Number one, the cutters are not somebody who are, taking a clinic and are sitting somewhere and are doing it. These are local cutters. These are women who are, within families who are old, 65, 70-year-old women are cutting. Okay, it's not that they are trained doctors. So if you are going to go and report something, what is the evidence? Right, because that is the first thing that, let's say, if you come to know about a woman who has is cutting a child or who has cut a child, let's say you go and report about that woman, the cops might come, but where is the evidence? She'll just deny because she has the support of the parents, right? So there is no evidence as such.
Yeah, I do understand. But in my line of work for the past 10 years, I've realized that if there's one thing that can help, cut through, sorry again for the words, um, what is happening, the fog in which all this is happening, it's hard to see what is happening and where it is happening, and hence to catch hold of someone who can be, deterred. The one thing that can help is a strong law specific to that problem. And that I feel is a step that can be used to at least have a foothold in trying to do something. Like, as I said, I mentioned the dowry law, anti dowry laws, or the
No,
laws
I
against,
understand, Sandhya, but
because,
the thing is that laws won't help alone. US has very strong laws, okay, and yet FGM is happening. There was an arrest over there for Dawoodi Bora, a very famous doctor who was doing the cut in her clinic, and she was arrested. And there was a trial and everything. There was a trial that went on for 2, 3 years, but nothing happened. She was let off. And we are talking about US here, where the laws are very strong, okay. So if in a country where FGM is banned, you can have that kind of a outcome, then imagine somewhere where there is no law yet, you know so I personally, from whatever experience we have had with FGM, a law can only maybe just create fear. It will only push the practice more underground. It's not going to stop it, you know because look at dowry, right? Dowry laws are there, but still dowries are happening. Women are still getting burnt in the
well,
name of dowry.
I know. Okay, maybe another parallel I can give. I'm sorry if I'm argumentative, just let me know. But
You can argue all you want, but the bottom line is that I am welcoming you and inviting you to give me suggestions, right? Because see, why have we gathered here? We have
right,
gathered here to come up with solutions. Like I said, any story is not just for emotional consumption, right? It's also to come up with problem solving, methods. So if you are feeling that there is a way out of this, and if you can just come up with a few pointers and maybe give it to Yogesh, and if it can be worked, I can take it to my team and go, So
Yeah.
we can debate this
So
forever. It is not really going to
yeah.
stop FGM. Let's put it that way.
Okay. Maybe let me just say one last thing. Just like recently, the whole issue of queer community has been brought out of the closet, and at least there are conversations going on now. It has been decriminalized, and we still do not have a law which permits queer marriage. It is still something that has been aired. It's no longer under wraps. It is something that is creating awareness. So I do think that even if the community has its own issues, and it's very hard to get through the way the community might behave because of that, I do feel that pushing for a strong legal support may in some way help to bring it out of the secrecy in which this seems to be happening. And
It's not as much of a secret now because for the last 10 years we have been all over the place talking about this. So I mean that's we are connected here, right? If you just Google Sayo, you'll see the kind of work we have done. It's not a secret anymore. Some of the people here had already heard about it. There was a time when in India we had no clue that something like that existed. That is when the first story came out in 2012. So I don't think it's a secret anymore. It's just something that, like Yogesh said, right? It is a speck of a population. 5 lakh people in more than 1.8 billion mean nothing to the government. Let's be very practical here and think about it. A law,
yeah,
a
I
law
suppose.
takes a lot, and to create a law that is so nuanced, and has so many implications. It is bound by religious dictats also. So it cannot be. It's not like see, dowry was a universal law in India. It did not belong to a religion. It was the how do I put it? It was not rooted in religion. Every religion was practicing dowry at that time, so it was easier. Like, for instance, in Sudan, in East Africa, Sudan was able to, bring the anti-FGM, which was, the new people was wanting the laws, but they were able because the entire country practiced it. So, in places where entire countries are practicing it, there is much more chance of a law coming there. But in a place like India, where it is such a small dot on the population, nobody even cares about what's happening, right? So
Yeah,
it
I
is it
suppose.
is it is something that it's not like it's not being talked about or we are not working on it. It's happening, but it's happening at its own pace. I mean, you did hear me when I said that the laws are working. They're just not coming out. Like
Yeah,
we are not got a
yeah.
ban yet on it, but we have pushed for it. It's in the process now.
Thank
It's up
you.
to the government. Yeah,
Thank you.
you're welcome. Thank you for asking some smart questions.
Thank you.
Okay, so if no one has any questions, then Yogesh, you want to wind this down?
There's a question from Akshita again. She's writing, is discussing the complications arising from FGM stigmatized within the community, as in if people within the community speak up about complications arising out of the procedures performed on them or their daughters, loved ones, is there backlash or attempts at silencing them?
Of course, I already spoke about that in the class that there is always stigmatism about speaking up. There is ostracization that happens. If you remember the film, I don't know whether how the reception of the film was for you, but whether it was clear or please do watch it again. In that, there is a section where, the husband talks about his loan getting passed. Now, the Bora community is a trader community, and everything that happens, um, it happens collectively. So there are loans that are sanctioned, interest-free loans that are sanctioned to small-time traders within the community. Now imagine if someone from your family is going against the practice, what will happen? The entire family gets affected. The entire family gets ostracized. The loans won't be passed. There won't be any kind of mingling happening between the women. So there's a lot of damage that is done. So that itself does lead to silencing, and this is, a silencing that has happened for many, many generations together. People who come out and talk about it are people who somehow, they have kind of told themselves that no matter what happens, we are not going to let this happen to a child. Another thing that also has been happening, which I personally feel there's nothing wrong with it, is that there are a lot of people from the community who choose to not do it to their daughter but don't tell it out very clearly. Like, there have been women who have come and told me that, Insia, I don't think I'm going to let my daughter go to the cut. But if someone asks me, I will just say that it happened. I will not say that she was not cut, because I don't want to be, put in a kind of a kadghara kind of a thing, or get ostracized or be condemned for what I did, and a lot of judgments will be passed. So there are things like that too. And when I think about it, I feel that that is also beautiful, because what is the end goal? The end goal is to not have this happen to any child. So if that means a woman doing it under secrecy, so you see how the entire, there's a shift that has happened, where it was being secretly done, where the cut was being secretly done, now the not cutting is happening secretly. So I'm okay with it, as long as the girl is not going through that kind of trauma. So yes, to answer your question, there is a stigma, there's a lot of stigma. Yeah. Okay. Any more?
No,
Huh.
no more question.
So you want to conclude this, Pooja?
Yeah,
Or
Yogesh.
Yogesh?
Yogesh, sir.
Yeah. Is Yogesh there?
He's there, he's there. Yogesh, sir, you will have to unmute yourself.
Hello?
Yeah.
Yes.
So since there are no more questions, you want to wind up?
Yeah. Yes, I think I want to thank you, Insia, for doing this. As a friend, I'm taking the liberty of using your first name and not saying Miss Dariwala. Please don't get offended.
Even if you're not
But
a friend, I don't like being called Miss Dariwala. Come on. Insia is
but
fine.
but you have been very kind to agree to do this at such short notice and went into such deep detail about so many facets to the issue. Thank you so much for doing this.
Thank you, and thank you to all the participants. And I hope you all, you all took away something from this today.
Yes, I think if you can just announce your email address or something like that, so that in case anybody has at a later stage a way to get in touch with you, if you just announce your email address.
I'm just going to put it in the chat so that whoever wants to then, write
Also,
it.
Yeah, so that there will be some way of there will be some kind of a takeaway from this, so that they can be in touch with you if they get to know of something like this. What should do?
Sure, sure, sure.
Whatever.
And also, if there are any suggestions that you want to make, because we are always open to anybody
Cool.
suggesting things that will be helpful for us in the long run for this practice. It's not just about a Bora issue. I think it's a child's issue. So, yeah.
No,
So,
of course, we all learn and we grow from these interactions, and for
exactly.
us, like
And
we
I'm
are
really
learning in this
grateful.
masterclass,
Yeah, Yogesh,
we
I'm
are
really
also
grateful
learning so
to
many
you
new
guys
things.
for facilitating something like that, because we could use all the support possible, and you have been, Population First has been such a lovely platform for me, even to launch my film. Actually, my screening happened with you guys first, and thanks to
Oh
you.
yes.
And I'm
Yes.
taking the liberty of calling you Yogesh for all this time. So
Thank you. Thank you so much. I want to thank all the participants who registered and some of whom stayed on till right till the end. I want to thank you for eagerly participating and being enthusiastically listening, interested in asking questions. Pooja, as always, thank you so much. I know you've extremely unwell, and yet,
thank
in
you,
spite of
Pooja.
battling ill health, you've been doing
Better.
you did this and held my hand through, because I was juggling two things at the same time.
Yeah.
Thank you so much, Pooja. Yeah,
Thanks,
No.
thank
everyone.
you
All
once,
the
one and
best.
all,
Take
everyone.
care. Bye.
Insia ma'am, if you would like
Bye.
to share any data, any documents with the participant, you can share it with us. We'll send an email to all the
So,
participants.
I have everything on this website. Actually, whoever wants to look at any data or any research work that we have done, I would suggest go to this sayo.org.
Okay.
It's
Okay.
5 o'clock.
Okay.
And we will also be sharing the feedback form to all the participants.
Yeah, I
Uh,
would appreciate if I could get some feedback on, on whatever happened today. That would really be appreciated.
Thank
Thank
you.
you, Mahesh ji. Thank you for being there till the very end, and all the other participants.
Yeah, thank you everybody who asked the questions. I always like
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Bye. Take care.
Bye.
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 Bye.